The following is a presentation of 4-Star Sports Media. Welcome to the Germantown Village Wine and Liquor Studio. Germantown Village Wine and Liquor. They have single barrel whiskeys you can only find in their store. Go by and see Stephen Plunk and tell him 4-Star sent you. Now, it's time to get to the point with your hosts, Wes Pruitt and Brandon Bumgarner. Get your tickets outside, it's going down tonight. This is our dance, just don't quit it, man. This makes to do, we ain't come to lose, we here to win. Pay your dues, otherwise I got bad news. What you came to do? Get them boys the blues, 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 get them boys the blues. What you came to do? Get them boys the blues.
Hello, Memphis fans, and welcome back to The Point for your Wednesday, November 10th, 2021 episode. Got Will Bass, Brandon Bumgarner in the house with us tonight. Guys, what a great time. Let me just start once again, since I'm wearing the Sidecar Cafe hat. Let me just go ahead and got to thank Sidecar Cafe for a great time this past Sunday. Got cranked up at noon, got it done about what time, Brandon? 3:30, 4 o'clock, something like that?
Something like that. I mean, I think it was like 3:30.
Yeah, it was about 3:30. Man, that was a lot of fun. Got to thank Lil White, guy who raps a amazing song, Give 'Em the Blues, the official theme song of The Point. Came on with us, talked with us, man. That was a lot of fun.
It was a fun interview.
It was a lot of fun. Rick Haygood came on with us as well, doing amazing things at Sidecar Cafe. Got a new one coming up down there in South Haven as well. 4-Star Sports Media might just pop up down there. You never know where we'll be. B, we're going to start with basketball this week instead of football, since it was the most recent Memphis Tiger activity.
We them boys.
Oh yeah. Hold on a second. Let me jump off rails again here. So Brandon was a Denver Bronco fan prior to Sunday.
Yep, sure was.
And then he became now the biggest Dallas Cowboy fan probably in the country.
Sure did.
I mean, I'm sure he's probably already tweeted Jerry a few times and, let him know what's up. Oh, have you not? Okay. Oh, I figured you start early.
I was too busy to put my input in last Sunday.
Oh, I understand. But now he is a Dallas Cowboy fan, and lo and behold, not to rub salt in the wound, buddy, but the Denver Broncos beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. This past Sunday. But yes, we had a great time at Sidecar Cafe. Will Bass was there, Brandon Bumgarner, Nathan Wilson. Had a nice little crowd too. It was nice to see people come out. Thank you to everybody at Sidecar. Guys, let's talk basketball. Both the men and women got wins last night. Will, I'll start with you. When's the last time you've seen the men and women basketball team get two big wins in opening night of their season?
Man, it's probably been a minute. I don't know. I don't know that I could think back to a time that you got two solid programs that you're looking forward to watching. But yeah, both did. I mean, the women look great against Xavier. Came out with a 20-point win over them. And obviously, I think everybody's probably watching the men's team, just ready to see what those guys could do in their opening game, and they look really good. They had their moments where a couple times they looked like they might let those guys climb back in, but they never really got more. I don't think within 8 or 10 points of them. It seemed like throughout the game. I think the biggest issue they're probably going to see all year is just being able to figure out what lineups they want to rotate in and out, because all those guys are so talented. I mean, there's not going to be a problem ever finding anybody on the court that's going to be able to do something special. So that was a lot of fun. I know, looking at the women's schedule, their next game's coming up Sunday, November 14th. We've got the men's team's got a game coming up the 13th against NC Central. So it's starting off hot and heavy, it looks like, and hopefully both teams will keep it rolling.
Yeah, man. When you look at the Tiger basketball team last night, of course, Duren and Amani Bates combined for 32. Then you had DeAndre Williams played 21 minutes with 6 of 7 from the floor. Yep. Tigers had 7? I think Tigers had 17 turnovers to Tennessee Tech's 14. They out rebounded them. The blocks, I think, was a lot. I think that was the most lopsided stat that I saw. But when you look at this team, I honestly, I was watching the women's game last night. I actually really enjoyed. I was going back and forth, but I was really trying to pay attention more to that game because that coach has got me fired up. But when you look at the men's side, we finally got what all Tiger fans have been clamoring for, and that's to see everybody at once and the game count. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's but Brandon, I'll go to you now. You were there. You saw it live. Talk a little bit about Duren and Bates last night. They combined for 32. Was it a quiet 32 or was it a pretty loud?
It was an extremely loud 32. Now the quiet person on the team was Lester Quinones, who had 15 points and 7 rebounds. I looked at the guy I was with at the game, my buddy Mark. I look over at him and I go, when did Lester score 15 points? I know he hit like 2 threes. Excuse me, back to back, but we're sitting there and we're like, did Lester just scored 15? It was weird, man. The best part about last night was your offense is finally gelling to start the year. It was exciting to see those guys come together and play very, very good offense. You could see some things that Larry Brown kind of implemented, because Penny admitted, he said that each guy's going to get a scout and they're going to go in order. So like the first scout would be Larry Brown, second scout Cody Topper, third scout is Rasheed Wallace, fourth scout Penny. They're going to go kind of in an order. And Larry Brown's game plan, seemed to look like a Hall of Fame coach's game plan to me. The defense struggled a little bit in the second half in stints. We did have a little period in the second half where we didn't score for 3 minutes, but the gameplay was just back and forth. It was a lot of fun to watch. Sorry, I'm not on camera right now. I'm taking care of my dog, it was extremely fun to watch, and I'm excited, man. I got to watch a little bit of the women's game while I was in the stands. I didn't watch a whole lot of it. I did keep up with the score though. Kept looking over. I think I'm going to try to make it out there Sunday, go watch them play in person. Cool. It should be a lot of fun, man. I'm really excited. You know what really pisses me off more than anything? It doesn't really piss me off at all. DJ Jeffries is struggling with Mississippi State right now.
Really?
And it's kind of funny to see that it wasn't just a Memphis thing, Now, I kind of want to talk about the transfers that left us. Musa Cisse had a really big game for Oklahoma State, and Boogie Ellis had a really big game for USC. I don't want to see DJ Jeffries struggle, but these guys are going to learn after watching this season that if you're not balled all the way in, you're all the way out. And Penny's going to make a run with this team without those guys. And, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that these teams that they joined aren't going to have good runs. But Oklahoma State's not eligible for the NCAA tournament. I really don't think – Mississippi State's up 17-3 right now. Game just started. But I really don't see them being as big of a factor in the SEC. And I mean, the only team that can really make a run is USC with Boogie. I didn't see how Damian Ball played, but I wanted to mention those guys because they're going to see what they're missing out on the rest of this season after Memphis just makes a incredible run. I felt like in 2019, you felt something special with Wiseman and all those guys on the floor. Last night felt a little more special because you know what's on the line, what's at stake, what's at stake for Penny. With everybody saying he's not a good coach,
right?
He can't make it to the tournament. This is a prove it to me year for Penny Hardaway, and I'm really excited for that. So sorry for my little rant.
You're good. Let me ask you this:
those guys.
Let me ask you this, Brandon. Hold on, Nathan. Welcome to the show. Thank you for wearing the same hat I am. I appreciate that. Brandon, let me ask you this: so was Penny like sitting down and Larry was up walking the sideline, or Penny was up the entire time?
Penny's up the entire game.
Okay,
this is Penny's team. Like, don't get that wrong. Penny knows the scout just like Larry Brown knows the scout. Larry Brown's just the one who scouted them out and threw the game plan out there. Penny still calls the plays. Don't let that fool you.
No, I was
Larry
just
Brown's
curious to know.
Team.
Well, no. And
I'm not saying that to sound like an a-hole. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's like an a-hole.
And see, look, I'm just going to say this few things now. I know I just hopped on here, so I don't know what all was talked about.
We just got cranked up.
Okay, well, I thought it was pretty cool. I watched the game from home. I saw John Morant was at the game supporting Monty Bates, is what they were saying. And I will say this. Every time I saw Williams dunk the ball, I thought he was going to bring the rim with him, dude. Like, the man, I was like, dude, come on. But he made a statement. I got to give that man credit, dude. Every time he if it was an offensive rebound or whatever, he put it back, and he made a statement each time he put it back, and it was awesome.
I think you're talking about Duren.
Oh, yeah, Duren, yeah.
Yeah, so Jalen had
So, speaking of – go ahead.
Jalen had a drive down the lane, and he damn near ended a kid's life in front of, 15,000 people?
Yep.
I mean, it would have been brutal. And Jalen, in this post-game interview, they go, why didn't you hammer that dunk down? He goes, my legs were tired. He goes, that ain't going to happen again.
Yeah.
I was like, I believe you, young fella. I believe you.
Go ahead, Will.
So, I mean, that was something I noticed looking over the box score from last night. So both the guys that everybody's been really waiting to see had the most minutes of anybody on our team, Imani and Jalen Duren both. So 30 minutes each on the floor. But it's also nice, and Bum just talking about it, it's nice seeing a big man on our team that's not like a slight build big man, like somebody that's actually got some meat on their bones. I mean, he kind of reminds me of a Joey Dorsey, as far as the way he's
Precious
built.
was one of those guys, but Precious didn't have anybody to compliment him.
Right.
Luckily,
exactly.
Luckily, Jalen has DeAndre who can come in off the bench, and you have a Joshua Minot who can come in off the bench and fill that gap too. So it's a lot
Precious,
of fun.
Precious didn't come into the situation wanting to be in that situation either. Precious didn't want to be the big man, but I mean, you see. Obviously Duren's going in there. He's willing to fill the shoes, and I think he does it pretty damn well. I enjoyed watching him. I mean, he's a man. I mean, even though he's a freshman on our team, he's a big kid. I like watching somebody that's willing to look around a little bit.
I sit right.
The finesse big man doesn't do it for me. Yeah,
I sit right next to the court. And you look at Jalen Duren, and you're like, "There's no way this kid is 17 years old." Have you seen Have you seen the Benchwarmers, the movie?
Yes.
Okay, when he calls the guy from outfield, and he goes, "Okay, it's your time." And this dude's like 40 years old, comes in to pitch.
Yeah.
And he hands the umpire his birth certificate that says "I am 12" and he's got cash in it. That's what Jalen Duren looks like. This kid is. He's 17 years old, and he looks like he's Dwight Howard. I mean, he's built
Albert Pujols.
Yes, he's built like a just brick. You know what house?
Yeah. Oh, Yeah, he's chiseled, man. I mean, he is a ripped young man, and he's going to give people problems all year. I mean, you saw that starting five. Their length, man. Like, I don't know anybody that's not going to have trouble with our length, with our speed, and these guys are going to have a lot of endurance. I mean, it's
Penny ran a set out there last night that I fell in love with immediately. I mean, like it's the biggest lineup in the country if you do this. He had Imani running the 1, Lester at the 2, Landers at the 3, DeAndre at the 4, Jalen at the 5.
Oh wow!
There's nobody on the floor under the height of 6'5" in that lineup. Those guys were towering over everybody on that floor. That's the lineup that you're probably going to see later in the season when you're making these deep runs and you're getting into tighter situation ball games. I'm hoping we're not getting into really tight situation ball games until March, but I mean, well, when you play Alabama, Tennessee, those type of teams, that's the lineup you're going to see, and it's going to be nasty because Imani and Jalen, those kids look like they've been playing with each other for their entire lives, and they did play AAU ball together, but it was for one summer. It wasn't for 4 years of high school or anything like that. They weren't really able to get to know each other, you know what I mean? And they looked like they'd been playing with each other for years last night. It was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, man.
Well,
go ahead, Dev.
Yeah, so you mentioned a couple of games that will be coming up for Monty Bates and Jalen Duran, and you mentioned the Alabama. See, I got to actually flip and watch the Alabama men's play Louisiana Tech. And I'm going to tell you, when that matchup comes, the Memphis Alabama game, dude, that's going to be a brawl. It's going to be a game to watch. And they mentioned it.
Nice. Wes is on here twice.
Nope, I'm jumping off one of them. All right.
Well, they mentioned it. They mentioned the Alabama-Memphis matchup on during the Alabama game and everything. And mention how great Memphis looks this season and how much of a matchup that's going to be.
Well, first thing
that'll be a fun game.
I want to get through all these games that we have ahead of them first. Then we start eyeing them. I mean, I know it's easy to overlook the competition you have on your schedule right now because, frankly, you don't play anybody. That should beat you. Alabama is the only team on your schedule that's ranked ahead of you. So, I mean, I don't see why somebody should be like, well, you should get beat by St. Louis or anybody like that. Luckily, those games are at home too, so you're not going to get beat at home by St. Louis or those days are over. Tubby Smith isn't here anymore.
This is a good point. Yeah, you ain't kidding. Brandon, when you look at this basketball team, all right, so we always talk about the staff, right, and how great the staff is. How much imprint did we see last night from Rasheed and from Larry and from Cody and from Penny, for that matter?
You saw him kind of take guys to the side, talk to them.
I saw, yeah.
Rasheed Wallace took Jalen to the side a couple times, saying, "Hey, you're bigger than these guys. Let's get down there and get going." And damn it, he got going. That's for sure. Larry Brown is very patient with everybody. You can see that. I really enjoy watching that. Most coaches that I've ever watched, like Josh Pastner was a pretty patient guy, but he was a little like he never cussed at his guys, but he was animated towards them.
Right.
You see a lot of coaches getting these guys' face, try to get them hyped up and everything. Larry Brown was taking Alex Lomax to the side and taking Jaden Hardaway and these guys to the side saying, "Hey, look, settle down. This is your game. Play your game the right way. We know how to win." Now, when we get into crunch time, is that going to change? I don't think so because Larry Brown has never really came across to me as a extremely animated coach. He's not.
He's very chill.
Yeah, he's not the guy. Who's the dumbass up there at UConn? Billy.
The women's coach?
No.
Oh,
Hurley, Billy Hurley.
Yeah, Bobby Hurley. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Bobby Hurley.
Yeah. that jackass. He's not screaming at his players F off like Calipari and things like that.
Right.
And Penny doesn't do that. Now, in practice, there might be a different situation where that arises, but in front of the fans, in front of, like, in the public eye, you know, Calipari would grab guys and slap them, you know, and do stupid stuff to try to get a rise out of them. And he wouldn't really slap them. He'd like put his hands around their shoulders,
right,
and shake them and stuff like that. And,
yeah,
you're not going to get that out of these kids nowadays. These kids don't respond to that, and that I think Penny knows that, and they trust him, and that plays a big difference in how coaching goes. One way, you know, and it was a lot of fun. I sat right next to the Tennessee Tech bench. That's where my tickets will be this season. And you could tell those kids right from the jump were like, this is a different type of show right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was really fun to see both sides, Memphis men's and women's, get two big wins last night. Guys, we're getting ready to take a break, and when we come back from break, we're going to jump into Tiger football. Oh, well, yeah, we'll jump into Tiger football, and then we'll end with a little Memphis Grizzlies talk. We'll be right back here on The Point. Also, thank you to everybody watching on 4star.live, Facebook, and YouTube.
Good barbecue and soul food. We got rules though. When you come through, don't fool with us. We done told you we struggle daily. Crime rate is crazy. Get wrong's one thing you don't do. My guys, the Grizzlies and Tigers, baby. We animals and we don't lose. We give you the blues when you come to us. Be ready for war. We lacing up. You better bring a whole army with you, 'cause the Memphis here, we don't play a bluff. This Memphis do. We ain't come to lose. We here to win. Pay your dues. Otherwise, I got bad news. What you came to do? History in my city that I can't put it all in a song, but I'll tell you one thing, we get along. When anything around here going wrong, we had riots in the past, grew from that. All lives matter, that's a fact. But come to my town talking any kind of smack, we gonna beat you down and send you right back. We winners, man, not beginners, man. We gon' eat every one of you for dinner, man. Get your tickets outside, it's going down tonight. This is our game, just don't quit it, man. This Memphis do, we ain't come to lose, we here to win. Pay your dues, otherwise I got bad news. What you came to do? Get them boys the blues. 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 What you came to do? Get them boys the blues.
Welcome back to The Point. Guys, there was a big football game that took place this past Saturday at Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium. I had the pleasure of being there. It is the most fun I've ever had at a football game in my life. Just the full experience was just incredible. Brandon, let's get into it. Tigers came away with a 28-25 victory. We ran the ball 37 times for 22 yards. Seth Hennigan, as we talked about Sunday, had an incredible game. The first play of the game, the entire stadium knew that shoulder was fine.
I wouldn't say the shoulder's fine. I would say that it's healthier.
Well, yeah.
But I'm so tired of running the ball 37 times and not having anything to show for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
We have a capable receiving core and a quarterback who can make plays. I don't know if I've ever seen an offensive line who's really good at pass blocking and not great at run blocking. It's literally hit or miss, you know. It's not embarrassing, but like something's got to give, you know. The defense played phenomenal.
Yeah,
I will give them
it is
credit.
embarrassing, actually.
Yeah, but I don't want to like straight up like call these kids out on it. You know, they don't deserve that.
I know. I mean, Yeah, they don't. But you gotta do something. Or
Yeah,
like you said,
something's
just
gotta
air
be
the ball
done.
up 50 times, 60 times a game.
Yeah, well, and hopefully they get it figured out for this Saturday. But we're talking about this past Saturday though. Yeah, the team looked great all around, other than special teams. Something's got to give with special teams too. You had a blocked punt, one punt that was awesome. You missed every field goal you attempted, but you hit every extra point. It just made no sense whatsoever. Also, quick side question, and I know kicking field goals and kicking off are two completely different things, but why don't they just let Grant go out there and attempt field goals? I mean, he's great at kickoffs, so it's frustrating to me seeing that. And I mean, I guess I'm nitpicking, and I should be happy we got a win, and I am happy we got a win against a ranked team, a team that's you could consider a rival to this point.
Yes.
I guarantee you those kids hate playing in Memphis, and Sonny Dykes hates playing in Memphis. And you know, the one big shout out I have to give to Saturday is to the fans. I didn't expect there to be 15,000 people in that stadium with a 4-4 start to this football season.
Yeah.
And about 30 to 33,000 people showed up to cheer for that team on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. And guess what? They got a win in front of their home fans. And the score doesn't show how much of a blowout that game was. I mean, they scored touchdowns. They scored touchdowns late in garbage time. I mean, that game was not as close as what the score says. Yeah, it was a 3-point game, and they had a chance to either win it or tie it. But you're up 18 in the fourth quarter. I mean, listen.
We held them scoreless in the first and the third. I mean, the defense definitely showed up.
And if you would have told me that it would have been was it 3-3 at halftime or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. If you would have told me it was 10 wait. It was 10-7 at halftime, I believe. It was I don't remember. But I'll look it up later.
Yeah. It was 10-7.
Yeah, okay. Are you looking at it now?
No, I just thought back.
Okay, cool. Took me a second. Sorry, y'all.
Because I tweeted the over-under of that game was 72. And I said, who would have thought at halftime it would be 10-7? Whoever took the over is sweating.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. And they sweat all day because it never hit. But,
right.
No, it was Will, I hope you aren't one of those people.
No, I doubt he was.
I wasn't.
I really, like I said, I have to give a shout out to the fans because, I mean, you look at the way the season started and the way I always talk down about our fan base. Now, the student section was absolute garbage, but I look back to our fan base and I think, hey, like this is how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to support your team through thick and thin, and this is how you showcase yourself to a bigger conference, such as the Big 12, if they're going to expand or something like that.
Yeah.
It was nice to have that atmosphere, and hopefully, I mean, you're supposed to have sunny skies on this Saturday, 11 a.m. kickoff. Hopefully we do it all again this weekend. You got but a decent ECU team rolling in town, a team you should win against.
Yeah.
But they did just trounce Temple this past week.
Same record as us. I mean,
same record as us. They're fighting for a bowl win. They're fighting for their first bowl eligibility in years. You know,
it's been a while since ECU's been in a bowl.
Yeah, so
they average one more yard per game than SMU was averaging coming in here. Just to throw that out there. And they just recently took Houston to OT. So, I mean, they're no slouch, and we can't sleep on them for sure.
No, most definitely not.
You know what?
Brendan,
they're coming into Memphis. Our fans got to show up. That's all I can ask for.
Well, you talk about those fans, and we've talked about it in the past, how that core group of fans used to be 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. Saturday was indicative to me that we've got a core group of fans of roughly 30,000 people.
No.
They announced a crowd of 31,000.
We're not there yet, Wes. We're close,
I
but
mean,
we're not there.
that place
that many
was
people
not.
were there
That
because
was a
it was
bad little crowd. I didn't feel like.
No, it wasn't. But that many people were there because it was a nice Saturday and you were playing a ranked team. If you're
It
playing
was also
Tulane
it was
at the
also
same time, the
homecoming. I
same day,
mean
you're going to have maybe
that
26,000.
yeah. I mean homecoming didn't hurt.
No, it didn't.
So, but I don't get it. I mean, this team is fighting tooth and nail, week in, week out, in practice, out of practice, in class. We've talked about it on this show numerous times. Why? And by the way, Kevin Johns was pulling plays out from Oregon State that they ran like 5 years ago. The team is putting the effort in. It's obvious to me now that Silverfield's got the staff putting the effort in. The defense is playing with their hair on fire for the past 3 weeks. I don't feel like they played all that bad against Central Florida when you really look at it. But then they turned around and played a great game for 5 sacks. Well, we have 5 sacks and three fumbles and an interception. So we have four turnovers and 5 sacks. That's a winning product on the defensive side of the field. And when you really look at it in the turnover game, if you win the turnover game, I don't know what the number is, but I guarantee you it's pretty high, probably about 80%. You probably win the game. Will may have that number. I don't know that number off the top of my head. But, where's the fans at? I mean, it's becoming frustrating to me. I get it. You lost 3 straight, but guess what? You're 1 win away from your 8th consecutive bowl game. And no matter if you're a lifelong fan or you're a new era, quote unquote, fan, that's impressive. If you go to 8 straight bowl games, that is an accomplishment that not only Memphis is doing, but guess what? There's Power 5 schools that aren't doing that. So where's the support? It's very frustrating to me. And I've already went off on the fans once, and this is much more calm. But it's just frustrating, man. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I mean, can one of y'all explain it to me? Because I would love to hear it.
You went the opposite route of me. I was praising the fans for showing up Saturday. You're pissed that more didn't show up, which I get that. But
I mean, it's just we're 5. I mean, okay, so we got East Carolina coming to town. I expect, call me crazy, there's no reason we shouldn't have 35,000 people in that stadium. There's no reason.
That's crazy. That's usually what we average. So,
well then, give me 40. Then give me 42. Will it happen? No, but
you're stretching.
We're going for
40. You're stretching it at that 40 mark, buddy.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we get 35 in there Saturday.
And that blows my mind. 8 consecutive bowl games. Like, I mean, maybe I'm thinking outside the box, or maybe my fan hat is on too tight, but that's an accomplishment that should be talked about. That is not, to me, that I know.
I agree, but it'll be talked about once we hit that mark. Which I think we can be the ones who kind of introduce that conversation as we have today, but we have to hit that mark before other people are like, oh, well, Memphis is in their 8th consecutive bowl game. It's
right.
You get a win on Saturday, you're right there. And honestly, if you win Saturday, why not go to Houston and beat them the next week? And why not come home and just trounce Tulane? And then you finish the season, 8-4?
Yep.
With a chance for a 9th win.
And you're probably and you have an outside shot of playing for a conference championship.
You need Houston to lose twice.
It can be done.
Yeah, I'm sure it can.
I mean,
Dana Holgerson's their head coach. So
my point exactly. It can be done. But I mean, when you look at now, let's jump over to East Carolina. 5-4. Mike Houston's a great coach. Came from James Madison. I've always liked the guy. Will alluded to it. They're putting yards on the field. They're getting yards. They're putting points on the board. Defense is kind of stingy, but Bobby Bass said Will Bass rocks. This man's got fans everywhere. He's like Ziggy Stardust. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, East Carolina's coming in. I expect a win here. I especially seeing how we played against SMU. This defense is playing some ball right now. I talked about it in the article. It's on 4star.live right now. Mike McIntyre's got this defense playing
Well,
great right now.
ever since they've switched it up in the Navy game from going 3 down linemen to 4, you're putting pressure on the quarterback, and you're not doing 4 down linemen every single play, but you're doing it
Right.
a lot of drives. And when you switch it up, it kind of confuses teams because they don't know what's coming at them. They don't know if you're rushing them, if you're rushing 4, you're dropping one back. They don't know what to expect, so it throws them off. And I like that about this defense right now. Honestly,
Nathan?
I think Mike
go ahead.
Mike McIntyre, if you finish this season strong and you at least finish with 7 wins this year, he's going to save his job. He's going to come back as defensive coordinator next year.
Completely agree.
Oh, yeah.
Nathan, talking about this Memphis defense, man, since the Navy game, they've been playing incredible. What have you seen from this Memphis defense?
A lot of improvement. That bye week, we talked about it at Sidecar Cafe. The bye week helped out a lot with this Memphis team, and I've seen a lot of adjustments that were made from the past couple of games they've had, and how Ryan Silverfield adjusted his defense to this SMU team. Which SMU, I mean, I've said several times, this is a team that their quarterback is the leading scorer of quarterbacks this year at the NCAA. So they came in, they were going to test that defense of Memphis, the cornerbacks and everybody. And I mean, let's just say this: SMU just couldn't handle that defense, man. No plays could get made. And I mean, credit to the defense of Memphis for stepping up the way they did. If they play like they did against SMU, then you've got a totally different Memphis defense to worry about now.
But you know what, Nathan? I mean, I give all the credit in the world to Ryan Silverfield and the staff. Because, I mean, when you look at it on both sides of the ball, if we can call plays offensively like we did Saturday against ECU coming up, if he's going, if he's drawing plays up in the dirt like that snap under Seth Hennigan's leg, I like our chances.
Well, the good
But
news,
I tell you one thing,
sorry.
this defense, you're good. This defense to me, it's like they just flipped a switch. Literally, it's like they just flipped a switch and was like, all right,
Wes, they
screw
did
it,
the
let's
exact
just
same
turn it
thing
on.
last year. They did the exact same thing last year.
And it
And
was
that's
the
the
Navy
thing.
game, wasn't it?
Yes, in the Navy game, you won 10-3. Or yes, 10-3 last year. You flipped that switch, and your defense started playing real heavy at the end of the year, which was very, very, very exciting to see. And also, you said something about Coach Silverfield. Yes, he deserves all the credit in the world. He's made all the necessary adjustments to get this team back into. I mean, you had 2 weeks off after basically a blowout against UCF to come back against a ranked team at home, protect your home field during your homecoming. You get a win. It was a lot of fun to get that out there. And honestly, you kind of alluded to if you can have the same play calling against ECU. You honestly don't have to have the same play calling against ECU. ECU has one of the worst defenses in the country.
Well, it's true.
So if you can go out there against ECU and show them, hey, you suck, we're better than you, that's how you're going to win this ball game.
Well, I mean, when I was saying the same play call,
I will argue until the day I die. Every team that we have played this year, we have better athletes than. Every single team, we have better athletes than.
I agree with that.
There's a very real situation where this Memphis team could be undefeated right now.
Yeah.
They're not, and they could have been there. But
Absolutely.
You know what? It just shows the youth and growth of this team. You have a true freshman quarterback. You have a lot of – your oldest player on the team is Sean Dykes, who's a sixth-year tight end. And then you have Calvin Austin. But, the rest of your team is still relatively young. You're losing a couple guys on defense, not a ton of them, but should be – next year you should be in the conversation to win the conference championship.
Most definitely.
right here is where that momentum starts. Ryan Silverfield said it best last season. He said, you win your bowl game, you're on a winning streak going into the next season. And guess what? Let's win the rest of these games, win our bowl game, have a winning streak going into next season. It gives you all the momentum in the world. All these young guys coming back have all that confidence, and they can be like, look, let's fight for something.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Nathan, speaking of the word momentum, and we'll wrap up Tiger football after this, but Nathan, talk a little bit about the momentum. I mean, you come off a good bye week. Now you get a big win against SMU at home. Now you're coming right back home to your comfy confines of Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium. Momentum is key right now. Do you think the Tigers can keep this momentum going against East Carolina?
Yeah, I think they can. And to go off of the bye week, there's a lot of teams, and not saying that every team that has a bye week has a good week, has a good game the week after. A lot of teams struggle, but this Memphis team came out. It was a true test for them against SMU. It was I wouldn't say a true. It was a big test for them, and they came out, showed up, and this momentum that they're coming off of beating SMU, they're going to carry it to this ECU team, and I see Memphis taking it to ECU, and so I think that with Seth Hennigan back, that gave a lot of momentum to him. But I want to talk about this real quick, and then I'll let someone else talk. I said this at the at Sidecar when we went live, that when Calvin Austin went down, we saw other receivers step up to the role, and you saw Seth Hennigan go through his progressions, and it wasn't he with Calvin being down, he went through his progressions. I mean, a lot of wide receivers stepped up, made some big plays. A lot of guys stepped up on that offense too, not just defense. So yeah, that bye week helped out both offense and defense. It showed a totally different Memphis team, and I think that we're going to see the same Memphis team that we saw take on SMU. We're going to see them take on East Carolina.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, guys, we talked a little Tiger basketball earlier. Now we're going to jump over to the professional side. The Memphis Grizzlies got a game going on right now, as a matter of fact, against the Charlotte Hornets. Brandon, you got a score update on that game?
Hey, quick question, guys.
Go ahead.
This is I'm going to ask this, Will, because I thought it was interesting. Do you think that Silverfield went into this game knowing SMU can put up points, kind of like Kiffin went into the Bama game, going for it because he knew he'd have to put points on the board to beat SMU?
I think when we missed the field goals, it changed his whole perspective. And I mean, I don't blame him. But if you look at us offensively in that game, from the opening kickoff, Memphis just had a different gear to them. And now keep in mind, SMU had the foot on the gas pedal. I mean, they were moving pretty quick. To me, SMU looked distracted, and I feel like Memphis took full advantage of it. I mean, I really do. Now, I like I said, the field goal, special teams, I think that's going to be an issue at some point in time. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, Will said we only scored on fourth down. Yeah, all of our 28 points came on fourth down calls. We were 5 for 8 on fourth down. I mean, when's the last time you've seen a Memphis team go 5 for 8 on fourth down or score 4 times on fourth down? I don't think I ever have.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild stat.
But I can say this. I'll say this. It worked out better for Silverfield than it did Kiffin when he played.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
when I heard that stat, I think it was either late Saturday or maybe, come Sunday, whatever it was, I started thinking about it, and I was like, I mean, you knew they had to go into that game.
I tweeted it right as the game ended.
Yeah, I mean, SMU is going to put up points, or at least you would have thought they would have. And I don't think very many people probably expected Memphis to hold them. So I said earlier, they averaged 484 yards a game, and we held them to 323. I mean, that's pretty solid, especially you considering a team that was ranked 23rd, 24th going into that game. So.
Yeah, most definitely.
It was an interesting game altogether. Just kind of weird, stats all around. But
man, there's so many interesting stats.
It's a W. That's all that matters.
Oh yeah, at the end of the day, it's a dub, and I'll take it all day. But there's so many interesting stats to this game to me. Like Silverfield's undefeated in November. I mean, that's a stat that's not talked about, but it's pretty impressive, honestly. But man, when you look at this, and so you got the Tigers football team had a great game, knocked off SMU, got ECU coming to town. But guys, let's jump into the Grizzlies real quick, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Grizz got a game tonight. Do what now?
I got a score update.
Go ahead.
Grizzlies are down 11 with 7:03 left in the second quarter.
Okay.
Funny thing about the Grizzlies is they tend to play incredible basketball against the good basketball teams and play like absolute garbage against the bad basketball teams. So
I think that's just a Memphis trait, man. Like I was going to mention that earlier is, it seems like in regards to the ECU game, that's something I was thinking about on the way home from work earlier. ECU's got the same record as us going into this weekend. And it's one of those games like you don't really want to look past it, but you don't really want to look at it as being a challenge. But it's one of those, like, just like anything with Memphis, except maybe the basketball team. We always tend to play up or down to our competition. I mean, it just
we used to do it in basketball. Yeah.
Yeah. In basketball, we would be down in the first half and then storm all the way back in the second. So
exactly. But yeah, like football, man, we'll take a ranked team, all 12 rounds and let whoever the hell else walk all over us until we finally, decide to wake up and put the pedal down. Exactly.
Yeah, Temple, prime example.
And the Grizzlies are just as bad about it, man. It's terrible watching them, play the best ball they can against. I mean, it's great against a great team, but then turn around and play, the Joe Schmoes of the league and crap the bed. I mean, it's disappointing, but I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. Maybe they won't do that this year. We'll see.
Well, luckily the Grizzlies, Ja Morant has 19 points in the first half with 6 minutes left in the first half. He's 9 of 12 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3. He's playing good ball.
Yeah, but that means
I've mentioned it on this show. You have zero consistency out of Jaren Jackson Jr. whatsoever. None.
He looked good the other night.
He did, but it was that one game.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating to watch that because we know how well he can play.
Yeah.
We know he's a good basketball player.
He can be
not
really,
injured
really
right
good.
Now.
It's just Jekyll and Hyde, man. I mean,
but Dylan Brooks came back tonight, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
You got your. We just cut the lead to 8, so looks like we're making a little bit of a run, but yeah.
I mean, you're holding LaMelo Ball to what, 3 points right now? I think is what he had.
Yeah, LaMelo has 3 points. He's 1 of 6 from the field, 3 points, 4 assists. John needs a little more credit for his offensive game this year too. I mean, last year we watched in the playoffs last year. He couldn't shoot.
Yeah.
This year he's turned into a shooter. So
did you happen to watch that? The Timberwolves game on Monday by chance?
Yes.
So I was at Mellow Mushroom out here in Germantown because they do trivia every Monday night. So we're out there with my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, and my kids, my wife. And trivia had, at this point, it had ended. There were about 2 minutes left in the game. Almost every single person in the restaurant was standing at their tables watching a television somewhere around them because at this point, Ja had just slammed on somebody. I don't remember who. And then followed it up with a 3-pointer to basically tie it up, I think, and maybe even take the lead at that point.
Yeah, we took the lead, and they ended up tying it. We won in overtime.
Yeah, and then Karl Anthony Towns goes out, banks a 3-pointer with 1.1 seconds left, takes it to OT. So at that point, everybody in the restaurant leaves because they got to rush home to go watch OT. But I mean, it was crazy. You're talking. I mean, they're 10, 12 games into the season, and it's like a playoff atmosphere at a restaurant here locally, which is a lot of fun just being a Memphis fan in general. But, watching that like this early in the season with a Grizz team was pretty cool. It was a cool feeling. I wanted to throw that out there and mention that because even though, they're only however many games in, 6-4.
It's fun. The funniest part about the Grizzlies is they're very consistent at this point. When we get to January, they turn it on.
Yeah,
they've always turned it on. I find that very funny because once you get to that All-Star break, mid-February, first week of February,
yeah,
everybody's looking at the Grizzlies like, where are they in the standings? Because they either climb or they drop. Last year I believe we were like 12th for a long time, and then the Grizzlies just kept winning and winning and they wouldn't go away. And that's the one thing I will say about this young team. We're the youngest team in the NBA. Well, as I've mentioned multiple times, Steven Adams is the oldest player on your team, and he's only 28 years old.
Yep.
This team is scrappy, and they will fight until the very end. I mean, look at what Ja did in LA this year. And I know the Lakers aren't very good, but you know how hard it is to be the best player on the floor playing against LeBron James and Anthony Davis? Yep. And it wasn't even close how good he was compared to those two guys. This kid is an all-world type player, and he's going to be an all-star this year. He's in the MVP conversation for crying out loud. And he's only in his third year in the league. He's 20 or 21. I don't even know if he's old enough to drink yet.
I think he's 21.
Okay, he might be right at 21, but he's barely old enough to drink legally. But see if they're legally in there.
Yeah.
But no, like it's absurd to think how good these guys are at this young of an age. I'm 26. I look back at somebody who gets drafted who was born in 2003 or 2002. And I'm like, I remember both of those years.
Imagine what I feel like.
I mean, y'all remember 1995, so I can't really argue anything with y'all. But
I was 10 years old, Bum.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I wasn't even a year old. I was born.
The golden years of my life. It was great.
Man, at 10, I was playing Road Rash.
We were in elementary school together. Weston and I were probably like in fourth or fifth grade. It was fantastic. Yeah. No bills, no responsibility. We could be having this podcast now with like no stress whatsoever if we were 2 years old.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah. Like, yeah. The good old days. Yeah, no, Brandon, I completely agree. I mean, when you look at Ja Morant, he is a generational talent.
We got so lucky landing him in the draft lottery.
Oh, yes.
That was a blessing from the Lord above to say, Memphis, this is yours. And thank God we didn't land Zion Williamson because I don't want him.
And this question is for everybody in the room.
He's going to be a liability.
Yeah. I'll start with Nathan. I know it's early in the season, but I'm just playing devil's advocate. Everybody put your GM hat on. If you could make a couple of moves, realistically, who would you put around Ja Morant to take this team to the next level? You're on mute, I think, Nate.
Sorry. Are you talking about like I can get anybody I want?
Well, I mean, a realistic trade.
Man, let's see. First off, I like Dylan. Dylan is a great defensive player. You have to keep Dylan on that team with Ja. That helps out your defensive strategy. I mean, dude, if I could, I know this will never happen, but I'm gonna say it. I'd love to have Anthony Davis, dude. I know it'll never happen.
Well, I mean, that's like the most unrealistic thing that could happen.
I know, dude. I know. All right.
Well, your best bet is to wish that Jaren Jackson Jr. turns into Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen.
I mean, it could. It could. I mean, he's actually 20 years old. So
he's young, man. He's really young.
Now, he's been in the league. This is his 4th year in the league. He's in the league a year longer than Ja. And I think injuries have held him back a lot. And I think so. When I look back at it, it's kind of the Malcolm Dandridge effect. You know, Malcolm's been hurt for the Tigers for so long, and he's finally getting healthy. And yesterday, it was just, I think it was a freak incident with him, and they're just trying to make sure he's okay. I think he's going to turn it around this year. I think Jaren's been kind of in a similar boat where he's not scared to get hurt, but he's scared to play tough. You know what I mean?
He's just kind of been snake bit.
Yeah, but I really think that if Jaren's consistency comes back, like Will said earlier, he had an incredible game the other day. If his consistency comes back and he plays like he scores 22 points a game, you know, that helps Ja Morant. That compliments Ja, and it lets Ja do what Ja needs to do, Ja things, you know.
Right.
Will, I want to hear your hypothetical trade first.
Well, so there's one in particular I think would be a really big one, and I think somebody that I really expected to really do something, or I was really hoping to see do something more for us than he has since I just had higher expectations for him, is Justice Winslow. I could see a potential trade situation. I know right now DeMar DeRozan, he's kind of expressed some interest possibly getting out of LA, and I could see a potential move there where maybe we move Justice Winslow and bring DeMar DeRozan in, which. I mean, he's been a pretty solid veteran player for quite a while.
Winslow's not on the roster.
Oh, well, I think I must have been reading something old then. Oh,
yeah,
DeMar
DeRozan.
That handles that. Oh, okay. Then you already handled that for me. I don't have to worry about that trade. So that I guess we need to hear yours now because mine doesn't even exist.
So realistically, I would like to put another 2-guard on the floor with Ja Morant and Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks can guard the 1 through 3 position. He does very well against bigger defenders because he is fast and shifty. So you can put him at the 3, kind of like you did with the Tony Allen. He's a 6'6", 3 small forward. He's a bit of a stretch right there, but you can work with that. Just like I said, Dillon Brooks. You move him there. And then the Grizzlies have traded and gotten a lot of draft assets. So they've traded and gotten a lot of second-round picks. They got a couple first-round picks, everything like that. If the Washington Wizards fully implode and they just don't want to win basketball games anymore, which that's going to happen eventually, I want to go after Bradley Beal. I think Bradley Beal would be a very, very, very good compliment next to Dillon Brooks and Ja Morant. That makes you a 3-headed monster. Look, I'm very biased towards this. I think Dillon Brooks is going to turn into an all-star potential player. Do I think he makes an all-star game? Not particularly, but I think he could be a fringe borderline pickup for an all-star game.
Be a 6th man or something.
He'd be like one of the coaches' picks. The coach gets to pick like the last 3 players that make the all-star team. And I think Dillon will be in that situation eventually. I don't think so this season. But I do believe that if you add a Bradley Beal to complement a Ja Morant, I mean, look, Bradley Beal's a superstar in his own right. Yeah. He's a great shooter. He's a good above average defender. He's youthful. He's from St. Louis. He's a big, he played AAU ball through Memphis. And if that's not realistic, the Celtics absolutely stink right now. So if Jason Tatum wanted to somehow get out of Boston, that would be a nice pickup. I'd give Boston whatever they wanted for Jason Tatum. Hell, I'd throw Jaren into a trade for Jason Tatum because Jason Tatum can play the 2, 3, or 4. Yeah. But
Will Barton's he's up for free agency this year.
Yeah, so Will Barton is playing the best. He's having the best career year he's ever had in his career so far. He's on one of my fantasy basketball teams. I'm very proud of him.
Me too,
and
man.
since we're kind of talking about the NBA, I also have to brag on Precious Achiuwa right now. He's traded from Miami, and he is absolutely killing it. We mentioned him earlier in the show, talking about how he didn't want to be the big man here. Well, he got thrown into a role where he has to be a big man in Toronto right now, and he's absolutely killing it. I'm very proud of him. proud of the way that our Tigers are playing in the NBA right now. I mean, even Derrick Rose right now, he's playing really well off the bench for the Knicks. So you got 4 guys who played at Memphis in the NBA. James Wiseman's out right now because he's still coming off that meniscus injury, but he was just cleared to practice. I really think that Penny's doing a great job getting these guys implemented in the NBA. Next year, you're going to have a 5th, possibly 6th or 7th guy in the NBA with Duran and DeAndre Williams and possibly Lester or Landers Nolly. But yeah, no, I really think that this.
Do you see Lester being an NBA player?
I do, honestly. His defense is good enough, and he takes a lot of pride in that, and he can hit shots. And he is
I was just curious.
Yeah. Lester, I mean, you're in the age of positionless basketball, as they say.
Yeah.
The kid can play the
He's
1
very
through the 5.
versatile.
He can play the 1 through the 5. So I mean, he had 7 rebounds last night as a starting 2 guard.
Well, he's also he's the glue guy for that team in a lot of ways, man. I mean,
absolutely.
And he's such a leader. Like, you can just see when he's on the court, he's looking at guys and just he doesn't even have to say anything. You can just tell
he doesn't. Yeah,
he'll just look at a guy and like they know what he's saying. And I've watched it for the last few years since Penny got here. I've really enjoyed watching him play. I was just curious about your opinion on him, going to the next level. But yeah, man, I mean, just watching him progress and become the leader that he's become, like I kind of saw it coming last year because he really stepped up last year too. But I mean, I've been really proud of watching him play just because he's just blown me away the last few years, man. Just fun to watch.
Man, I didn't mean to get back. I didn't mean to get back on Tiger's subject, but I just wanted to talk about possible prospects that we have on the team that could find themselves playing professional basketball. Lester's absolutely one of them in my eyes. I think he's a smart kid. I think he has a high basketball IQ too. And I really think that he might not make it the kind of genetic route where you just go generic, not genetic, where he gets drafted first round. He might be one of those guys that is a late second round pick or is a undrafted free agent who gets a shot in the G League and builds himself up to that. Yeah. Look at a guy like Jeremiah Martin. When Jeremiah Martin was a freshman at Memphis under Josh Pastner, nobody thought that kid was going to play in the NBA.
Nope.
He's making over $1 million overseas now, but he played 2 seasons in the NBA.
Yeah.
And, I'll tell you one person who's extremely proud of him is Penny Hardaway. That's another check on his resume. Penny can say, look, I got this kid who was a no-name college player, and I'm not saying Jeremiah Martin was a no-name. Let me rephrase that. Who was a highly underrated college recruit that Josh Pastner came to get here. And listen, Jeremiah Martin didn't have to stay here. He played under 3 coaches at Memphis.
Yep.
I mean, which is unbelievable. You don't really hear that in college basketball either.
No, but or any sport for that matter.
He turned himself into a professional basketball player. And you know what? When his contract's done overseas, I guarantee you scouts are going to look at him and be like, well, shoot, this kid can play NBA basketball. And I see the same thing in Lester Quinones. And they don't play the same position, but they have the same killer instinct mentality. And it's the same mentality that guys like Ja Morant have, they're the underdog. They're going to go win. It's the same mentality that you already mentioned him. DeMar DeRozan has. He's a killer. He's going to go win. Damian Lillard played at Weber State. Who the hell has heard of Weber State? Underdog mentality. Comes in, killer, one of the best players in the league. Steph Curry, underdog mentality, played at Davidson. Look, I know his dad was in the NBA, but nobody knew where Davidson was until they made their run in 2008. And I see a lot of that in a lot of these college kids. So very excited for that. And I'm not logging off here, but I do have to give a shout out to the Kentucky Wildcats for getting beat by the Duke Blue Devils last night. It was a beautiful basketball game to watch. Ty Washington's one of the most overrated players in the country. And it's just good to know that John Calipari's not a good basketball coach. He got absolutely outcoached yesterday. It was beautiful to see. And yeah, sorry. Let's get back to the Grizzlies.
You're good, man. This Grizzlies team is going to be a lot of fun to watch. We say it every week on this show. I'm ready to see them start hitting their stride and start getting their chemistry really built up. Because, I mean, we've talked about it. There's pieces all over the court for that team, both on the bench and on the starting five. Nathan, before we get out of here, man, the Grizzlies, I know you're a huge Grizzly fan. Talk a little bit about what you're excited to see moving forward this season for them.
I mean, simply because last year coming off the playoff loss against Utah, we saw a young team coming in that was, let's be honest, was the underdog. It's the same thing this year. Everybody's looking at Memphis like, oh, they just got lucky. I mean, I hear it all the time, whether it's at work or whatever, about guys that are big Grizzly fans that oh, they won't make another run like that. And dude, I cannot wait because the Grizzlies are going to make another run, and I'm just hoping that everybody stays healthy throughout the season, and we can make another good playoff run. And this year, go farther than the first round.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. Well, guys, we've had a good night tonight talking Memphis sports as always here on the Point. Once again, guys, check out our brand new website. We now have 4-Star Sports Radio Network. Go to 4star.live to check it out. This show will be put on there within the next day or so. But I'll get it on there tomorrow morning. But man, check us out. 4-Star Sports Media on YouTube as well. For Brandon Bumgardner, Will Bass, Nathan Wilson, I am Wes Pruitt. You've been listening to The Point. Thanks, guys.